So this is what we're making, a spiral forged bangle. So you can see that the hammering starts on the top and then it goes around, comes back out. Subtle. I'm using 3mm round wire for this. Now, if I were just to make a plain bangle, 66mm inside diameter, it would be 210mm long, 21 centimeters. But because I'm going to forge it, it's going to get bigger. So I'm going to guess about 195. I could just chop this, but it makes life easier if you saw it, because it doesn't distort the metal. If you use a small bolt cutter to cut your wire, it actually squeezes it oval. But we still need to file the end flat. But it won't take much filing. Swiss number 2 cut flat hand file. Now this wire is half hard, so we'd be able to just form it with our fingers. We won't have to anneal it. Form it so that the ends come as close to being perfect as possible. And make your join as perfect as possible. Now I'm going to hallmark opposite the join. Just because I can, and it doesn't matter. Now I hold my bangle in a third hand joint against my soldering block. Mix up your flux. Flux the join. Now I'm using a 3mm long piece of hard solder for this. Picking up my solder. Heating the piece. The flux will go clear. I lower my solder down, touch the join. It'll either flow or stay in place. Continue heating. And the solder will flow. Lovely. Now I'm going to go ahead and anneal the rest of the piece at the same time. Put this reheated on the bottom just to make sure I have a perfect join with my solder. Quench and pickle. And I pickle in sodium bisulfate and quench in water. So we're out of the pickle. If you did a good job, there's very little cleanup, but wait until you round it up on the bracelet mandrel before you do your cleanup, because it's always easier to work on the outside of a curve. So just round it up with your rawhide hammer. And you can see how much smaller it is at the moment than the size it needs to be. So here is the size it needs to be. So first thing we'll do is tidy up the joint using 400 grade sandpaper on a sanding stick. And it should clean up just that quickly. Now I'm going to take my Sharpie and make a line that I can follow while I'm forging it. So I want to come from the outside to the inside, to the outside, back to the inside, and back around to where I started. Cool. So now I'm just going to take a planishing hammer. I could use my jeweler's hammer. I'll use the planishing hammer in the slightly rounded side. So I'm just going to hold this in my lap and down on this end, because I'm going to need to turn it as I'm working. So we're just starting on the outside. So you can see how you kind of get lost trying to chase that spiral without the texture mark on there. So just work your way around a few times until we have a nice forged shape in a spiral. So you can see after I've hammered my spiral shape, I'm now at the mark where it's the right diameter. And it's round, but it's not flat. So now it's just a matter of holding it on my piece of timber and making it flat. And by hitting the metal on wood, the wood actually gives a bit so that the material will become flat. Now, I'm not going to make it perfectly flat because I want it to have a little bit of a curve. So now it's just a matter of wiping off our Sharpie mark and polishing it when we're finished. So there it is, our spiral forged bangle. And it's just a matter of polishing it. And there we are out of the tumbler, finished.